tell me the story
Yeah.
of the spring of '63. You're just 12 and a half years old, and all of this just torrent of protest would unfold in a couple of months there, April and May. And how did that history find you there in the city in those months?
I think I told you we were always in church. And I make students laugh sometimes because I say, I am not going to paint that as a picture where we were so happy to be there all the time. And I did not want to go listen to these different people from outside talk. I mean, and I'm sitting in the back of the room, and the way my parents could placate me was to let me just read my book or do my math. I love math. And so I'd sit in the back of the church because you had to be there, and I'd listen to a bit. And you learned to sing the songs, and the songs were good. But amazingly, when I heard this man say that what he was proposing, and that is involving children in the march, could lead to children being able to go to the best schools in our city. Now that got my attention because I wanted to see just how smart these white kids were. I didn't think anybody was smarter than I was. And to me, though, smart was not about what you're born with. Smart had to do with how hard you were willing to work. My parents had to sometimes punish me for not going to sleep. I mean, I just wanted to keep working, and they were worried that I was working too hard. So, and to me, that was smart. When you work really hard and you achieve a lot, and you make A's not because you want the grades, but because you dare to know. All right. And but when he said that, I said, "Now that's worth listening to."
Do you remember who that was?
And I said, "What's the guy's name? What's this minister's name?" They said, "King." It was my first time. I'll never forget. I said, "King? What a name, King?" No, Reverend King, Reverend Martin Luther King. It was it was amazing. And then I began to listen.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
To him and others, and I realized how well spoken they were. Now, as it turns out, my pastor was also very polished as a speaker. He read a lot. We read books together. So we were accustomed to polished speakers, but this man was talking about the next level what it would take to change things. Because what we don't remember is that while we knew things were not fair, we tended to think this is the way of the world. I suppose it's the way my descendants felt in slavery. It just is this way. It's awful, but this is the way of the world. And before that King message, that message from Dr. King, the thought was, since this is the way of the world, you've got to be really good to get a chance at all. He was changing the model, the vision, and saying, it doesn't have to be this way, that we could be empowered to change it. Very different message. And did I believe him? I wanted to. Was I convinced it was going to happen? Absolutely not. If you've seen the world one way all of your life, even if it's just 12 years, it is the way it is. The best you can do is have hope and try.